welcome once again to the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. My name is Randy Cook, and I'm here each week with Marc Oslar as we talk through some of the issues of retirement. I'll bet you've got some questions. You've got some concerns. Maybe you're like a lot of people and you're just scared to death of this whole thing because you're walking away from a paycheck that you've had for years, and now it's on you to develop that paycheck. And a lot of us are kind of don't know how that works. That's why Marc is here. Marc, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Randy. Such a beautiful day. Looking forward to talking about some great financial matters. What do you have for me today?
Oh, I got lots of stuff. But before we get to that, I got to tell you one quick little story, okay? So we had Father's Day, and my granddaughters came over, and you know I'm a big golfer, right? So they bought me some really expensive golf balls, okay, like 2 dozen. And it's over $100 for these 2 dozen golf balls. They were really good ones, right? And for Easter, we had given them this thing that you can decorate eggs with. It was like with markers, and you put the egg, and it spins around, and you can make little, designs on it. They did that with the golf balls. And so all 24 golf balls that I got are black and purple and green, and they're beautiful. Can't use them, but they're fantastic.
Decorative, huh? Feels like Easter a little bit more than,
yeah, it was pretty funny.
Day, huh?
Yeah, I loved it. It's a non-usable precious gift. So we're gonna use them in the house, I think. But
I need to see this in your studio. You need to hang them up.
There you go.
Build like a little case right there.
I hate it that I tried to get some of the marker off, and I felt bad doing it, and then the golf balls were all sticky. And I go, this is just not going to work. So, oh well. It's kind of like getting a tie for Christmas, I guess, or a tie for Father's Day, whatever.
I got a bunch of the stuff, too. I really enjoyed some of the things that I received because I told my wife, I was like, look, I love a Team USA jersey for soccer.
There you go.
I love the World Cup. It's fun. This team's exciting. Pochettino's got the team really, he's got it put together. He loves the whole just attack. I love it. It's so much fun to watch. So she's like, well, it looks like a lot of these jerseys are sold out and everything. I was like, that's fine. So she got me this really cool, button-up polo that it basically has the USA Soccer emblem on it, and then it has 250 all over the shirt, and it has like the Statue of Liberty, Liberty Bell, little emblems all over. It's fantastic. It's great shirt, and a few other things. I got some Batman pajama pants.
Oh, I think we need some Facebook time on that one. I love it. Okay, well, let's get down to it here and talk through some of the issues here, and I'm going to throw something at you here that I've been hearing for an awfully long time. My dander gets up a little bit when I hear the okay boomer thing, but here's something that people have been saying for a long time. As soon as all the boomers retire, they're going to start taking all their money out of the stock market, and that's going to cause a stock market crash. Well, I have news for you, folks. This year, the youngest baby boomers turn 62. So all the baby boomers are now in retirement range, whether they're not all retired, but they're in that age group. And we have not had this big crash yet. So it probably isn't going to happen. And what I want to ask you, Marc, is there is so much that is out there about the big one, about the big crash. Everybody's worried about a market crash. But maybe we shouldn't worry so much about that as we should worry about some other things that could get in the way of a successful retirement. So if you think of that list, what do you think of?
Well, it's funny you bring this up because they're not going to cause the market to crash because maybe they're educated, right? Here's the thing. You don't have to take all your money out of the market. There's no intention to just take all your money out of the market. The question is whether you have reached a stage in life where you need to have all your money in the market and in risky positions. Because obviously when you're younger, it makes sense. You want to make as much money as possible, accumulate. But then you get into this place where you're going to retire or get close to retirement. Do you need to do all that? No, you don't have to do that. And that's the point. And this is what we talk about, Randy. We talk about that acronym that we love to talk about on the show, PIG. Preservation, income, and growth. And my whole objective as an advisor is to show you preservation tactics for your income and prepare for taxes and inflation. So this way we can grow everything else. There's no problem with having risk. There's no problem with having high risk in some areas, depending on what qualifies you as a person that doesn't mind taking the risk. the question is, do you have an income plan? And is your income plan only based on accumulation? And if it is, we should have a conversation. I was building a plan earlier, for a person and haven't even, talked to them about it or discussed it. But part of the plan has to do with an annuity. It's not an income rider. It's actually an annuity. It has something called a family endowment rider, but it ticks up and you can take it as a dollar for dollar withdrawal privilege. So that was the area that we talked as real preservation. Then I looked at another section. That's 1/3 of the plan. The other 2/3 of the plan are based on two different structured notes. One of them, when I was looking at it, I said, okay, this makes sense. This is a nice coupon, and it has less risk than the other structured note that I was looking at. Now, I can't discuss rates and things like that here on the radio, but that's stuff you can talk about with me in the office, because one of them has a nice coupon and the other one is a lot higher of a coupon and has a little bit more risk involved, but it's still a little bit more of a preservation tactic than being all out there in the market. They have things called barriers. A barrier is where, as long as it doesn't break the barrier, then you are going to get your coupon or you're going to get your money back, right? And understanding those barriers makes all the difference of understanding what you've invested in. And I can explain all those things to you, but we love to use these types of things. When a person doesn't have an income plan, we start looking at these things, and these are the things we talk about at the office, and people are usually dumbfounded or shocked to know some of the things they can do outside of just original investments or dividends and stuff like that.
That's one of the things that I liked about this program is we try to simplify things for you. And we talk about pig. We're going to pig out on the show again today. They talk about preservation, income, and growth. And these are the three things. And when you think about your 401k, and we're going to talk a lot about 401ks today, is there's not necessarily preservation, there's not necessarily income, but there is growth. So if you're walking into your retirement with a big 401k, we need to have the other two aspects of what we talk about here on the show each and every week. Give Mark a call, and if you haven't sat down and actually done the math on your retirement, let's do that. Let's give you an idea of what you're in for. And Mark has gone through retirement many times. You're going to go through it once. So given his aspect of, we could run into this, we could run into that. Let's have a strategy for that. That's having a real retirement meeting. Let's get a date on a calendar. Here's the website, which is moretoretire.com. Moretoretire.com. There's a place for you to put some information in there, and Mark reaches out to you, or you can skip all that. Reach out to him right now. It's 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. Well, one of the things that people will do as they get ready for retirement or get close is they'll kind of pick a day, they'll pick a year, they'll pick an age. That's when I'm going to retire. And I've got an article in front of me from Market Watch that says, good luck. Hope it works out for you. Probably won't. We plan, God laughs is what they say, right? And many times somebody will say, I'm going to retire when I'm 65. I'll get to Medicare age, and that's when I'm going to retire. And it doesn't work out. About 60% of the time, it doesn't work out. And it's not because something bad happens to you. It's your job changes, or they have a layoff, or there's a health situation in the family. You've got to step away from work, take care of somebody. Mark, this is something that I wanted to ask you about. Can you build a retirement plan where you say, okay, I'd like to retire 3 years from now. Figure that out for me. Then figure it out 2 years away, then figure out 1 year away, and then if all things go crazy, figure it out, can I retire right now? Can you build that kind of option into a plan?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the whole point. It's all customizable. This is what we love. This is what we love to do. We live for this. We want to meet people, talk to them about what they're doing, how they want to retire, what do your expenses look like in retirement. God laughs at me all the time. Okay, I mean, I sit here and I try to plan. I plan this, plan that. But no, I mean, as a Christian, we got to yield to what God wants for us. So what we do here is we actually do pray about the things we do and effectively go over the plan and talk to the folks and really get sincere about what we want to do for you. And then we make adjustments, switches, and changes when we have to, because things change, things shift, things adjust. If you've got 3 or 5 years left before retirement, let's have the conversation now, because if we have the conversation now, we can talk about things that we might not be able to talk about in 3 or 5 years from now.
Yeah, great point. Coming in a little bit early gives you more options when it comes to planning for the future. answer. And then you can say, hey, if something happens along the way, am I okay to retire? Let's have that kind of a plan with lots of options. Give Marc a call. Let's sit down and actually put pen to paper and talk through it. MoreToRetire.com is the website, and there you're going to see the 5 steps to more. And we'll talk about that as we go through the show today, but I encourage you to check that out as well. You can also give Marc a call. Let's get a date on a calendar and talk about your retirement. You've done this. You want to do that. Let's put the money with it and go from there. 984-300-1984, 984-300-1984. All right, so this article in Motley Fool is kind of interesting. It says if you have all your money in an IRA or a 401k, you're making a huge mistake. So let's just get that on the table right now. Marc, why would it be a huge mistake to have all your money there?
If you have all your money in an IRA or 401ks, obviously you're talking about taxability. That's why a lot of employers now are starting to offer Roth 401ks. Mm-hmm. They're starting to offer, like the government's starting to offer Roth TSP or a thrift savings plan, right? Mm-hmm. That's why they're starting to do this, because they realize that they don't want to feel responsible for everybody saying, well, I've got this huge tax ticking time bomb, mm-hmm. right? That's a problem for the next generation. Might not be a problem for the person. And that's why a lot of people are trying to do conversions. And we discussed this on the show before, but I've mentioned this in the past. If you have 10 years left of work and you have not even looked into the idea of an overfunded index universal life plan for your life, then I'm shocked that we can't have this conversation. If you have 10 years of work left or more before retirement, let's have a conversation about this. You might say, you know what, I've done one of those, they don't work out. Or, hey, have you actually priced this properly? The way it works, Randy, is you overfund what the target premium is in the policy, but you keep it under the modified endowment contract limit. It's not hard to do. And then don't overpromise the returns. Just prepare it properly. And what will happen is in the future, under the Internal Revenue Code, it allows you to take tax-free loans from the policy, and you still have a death benefit. We like to call it a Roth IRA on steroids. Mm-hmm. That's a great alternative to your traditional IRAs and your 401ks. And the best part is you don't have to qualify for if you make too much money, because we were talking about how with a Roth IRA, if you make too much money, you can't contribute. So the only way you can contribute to a Roth IRA when you make too much money is by doing a backdoor Roth. You contribute to an IRA and you convert it to a Roth.
Well, one of the things that occurs to me on this is why they might say you should have more than a 401k or an IRA is those vehicles are kind of market dependent. You're buying ETFs, you're buying mutual funds, you're buying bonds, and it's all market driven. So if the market goes down, we're not supposed to pull from the account that is in the market. So then you would pull from another account that's not market driven, maybe a savings account, to fill in while that market is down. Is that sort of what they're getting to here, of just being more diversified with where you can pull from as far as your withdrawals?
They have to. Mm-hmm. If they don't, they could be sued, right? Because we're a litigious society here in America. These types of things can happen. And so they're trying to figure out ways where maybe they don't have this double dipper. The market drops big time and the person's pulling money out. And we've talked about this on the show in the past, sequence of returns. So in sequence of returns, if you're taking money out and you have a drop in the market, you could have the same returns in a 10-year stretch and you mix up the years, and the amount of money that you have left could be drastically different from column A versus column B. Mm-hmm. So this has to happen, and that's why I discussed a little earlier about having an income plan separate from the money that you're just full on risk in the market.
Yeah, we've seen this in the past. They've shown that. So if you're a person who you retire and the market goes way up and then has a big crash at the end of your retirement, you are much better off than the person who has the crash at the beginning and then sees the increase coming toward the end of your retirement. That at the beginning of your retirement, it's very, very important to have those preservation tactics in place so you don't experience that big market drop that could really hurt your retirement. Give Marc a call. This is a very, very important part of the conversation. How do I make my 401k pay me in retirement? How do I make my 401k not become a tax liability in retirement? All of these things are important, and so many of us are going into retirement with a lot of 401k money. Here's the number. here's the website to sit down and talk to Marc. It's a no cost, no obligation meeting. What does that mean? That means we're going to sit down and talk about your concerns, talk about what you're worried about, what you want to do in retirement. Let's get it all on the table. MoreToRetire.com is the website. MoreToRetire.com or 984-300-1984, 984-300-1984. We talk about pigging out here on the program. We're going to do preservation, income, and growth. We hit it every single week, and this was shocking to me about that, Marc. There's a study that comes out every year, and this was done in the fourth quarter of last year, and it said there is now $50 trillion in retirement accounts in this country. There's a lot of money that's packed away, and only 2% of that money has been dedicated toward protective income. So for a country that is completely afraid of running out of money, they don't seem to be doing anything about it. So, Marc, I got to believe that when you sit down with somebody and look at the pie of their money, there's more than 2% that is set aside to build income. Am I right?
Yes. I mean, let's just say this, okay? You come to me and you want to talk to me about retirement. Well, we have to talk about an income plan because this is important. Even if you're filthy rich, it would be good for you to have an income plan because isn't it better when you could put your head on the pillow at night and you could pick your head up from the pillow in the morning and know that the payment hit the account? I mean, that makes a huge difference in your life. When you know that and that can happen, then you don't worry about the rest of the assets as much, right? Because you have an income plan, and that's the purpose. And the more confident you are in your income plan, and if it's plenty of income, then there's plenty of extra money there for you to do other things in life. We want you to have fun. We want you to enjoy retirement because in the very beginning of retirement, that's when you're going to do your traveling and those types of things, right? But then when it goes a little further, that's when you stop wanting to do certain things. And I see that. I mean, I see it in my own parents. My parents are 83 and 78, and, some things have happened, and it's just not the same, right? So again, we want to have this conversation, and it all starts with preservation, income, and growth. And if you're one of those people that don't have an income plan, let's sit down. Come on in. Let's have a chat. You don't have to do business with me. You just need to hear from someone that knows what they're doing and how to build a plan. And if you want to work with someone else, that's perfectly fine. I'm always here as a resource and as a friend. I love to meet people, get to know people. Our whole objective here at the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience is to affect people's lives in a positive way. And that's our intention here. But we can show you some things you could do with an income plan that I think a lot of other folks, if you're just going straight to Fidelity or straight to Fisher Investments, they're more of a wealth advisor, right? They're just trying to make you as much money as possible. They might show you some dividend models, things like that. But what we want to do is build an income plan, and we believe in preservation tactics around it.
So, Marc, when you talk about an income plan, that's, there's a couple of different ways to go about this. But if you have a plan that's going to pay you, that's one thing. If you want to have that big 401k and then you're just peeling money off the top, that's another way to get money in retirement. But what I understand, and this might be a kind of a crazy question, how do you do that? So let's say you have, $500,000 or $1 million in a 401k, and you say, this is what I'm going to live on in retirement. What do I do? Do I go in there every month and take money out every quarter, every half a year, once a year, try to figure out how much I'm going to need? And what's involved in me going to a place like Fidelity and getting my money out of the 401k? Is that a hard process?
That's a great question. And that's another thing that I like to discuss. So, we use Fidelity as our custodian, okay? But it's advisor managed. So it's still underneath our registered investment advisor firm, right? Okay. Here's where I like to talk about this. Because if you have a Fidelity 401k, it's actually an easy transition for us to digitally just do a rollover internally and open up an IRA account. And then we can open you up to a world of different investments that you don't have access to because you're very restricted in a 401k plan. But yes, you go in, you have a 401k, you just take simple withdrawals. Or, hey, you have a thrift savings plan, you just go in, you take simple withdrawals. But that's not a plan. What you're doing is you're just growing your money and then pulling off of it, and you're hoping that it's going to work out. What we want to do is show you different custom positions, different ways to go about an income plan. Sure, we use annuities, but we also use other things. We may use some dividend models, especially to do with ETFs, and we might build in some structured notes because those might have a little bit more of what we're looking for income and the yield behind it. So we like to have this conversation, go over what we can do for you. And I think that one of the areas that folks don't know about that we do is some of the unique income plans that we put together for folks. It's all customizable.
We would love to have the opportunity to sit down and talk through your retirement concerns. And, that 401k, it's not like a pension. It's not going to send you a check every month. It's not like Social Security. This is kind of on you to figure out how to get paid by this place that you've been putting money for the last 20, 30, maybe even 40 years. That's going to take a little expertise, and that's where Marc comes in. He can kind of guide you. And what we would love to do is just sit down and talk through your concerns about retirement. Give Marc a call, 984-300-1984, 984-300-1984. It's a no-cost, no-obligation meeting. Let's just have a question and answer time about your retirement. You can find us online, too, more2retire.com. Well, we're talking a lot about 401ks today, and we're going to kind of keep that up. There is something that's going on right now where people in their 60s are going, I wonder if I should pull out of this 401k at work and put this under my control. And then there's something new that is coming out from Fidelity for people in their 401ks that you need to be aware of. All that coming up next on the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience.
A simple piece of paper. It's something we use every day. For the most part, it does what it's designed to do. It sits there flat on your desk as a placeholder for information. But with a couple strategic folds, suddenly your flat piece of paper becomes an airplane and flies across the room. Your 401k is kind of like that flat piece of paper. It just sits there as a placeholder for your money. Marc Oslar can show you those strategic moves to take your 401k from just sitting there to creating the income you need for retirement. Call today for a free no-obligation meeting, 984-300-1984. That's 984-300-1984. Or online at more2retire.com.
Welcome back to the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Online, it is more2retire.com. If it's time to talk about your retirement, let's get it going. More2retire.com. It's a no-cost, no-obligation look at your retirement. All right, so as good as the market is doing, there's still some headlines out there, and you see it regularly. Some of these big employers, they're starting to lay people off. I don't know if it's all AI or what it is, but there's some layoffs happening by the thousands out there. And there are other companies that are going, we don't want to lay people off, but we got to do something to cut costs. So there's a number of companies right now that are saying, we're going to cut our 401k match. All right, so you're in your 60s, you're in your home stretch, you're getting toward retirement. One of the reasons you're in the 401k is because of the match. Marc, would it be a time for somebody to say, okay, that's the straw. I'm going to take this money into my own control. We're going to sit down with Marc. We're going to put it in an IRA brokerage account, and I'm going to take control of my money. Good idea or not? What would the up and the down of that one?
Great questions here. I mean, they pulled my sister-in-law's match, and I thought, it's like criminal. I'll be honest with you. What's the point of them investing money in the 401k when you're pulling the match? The whole purpose of wanting to do it is because the company is providing a benefit. You could look at it as, well, they're pulling it from my income check, and then I don't have to worry about spending that money and so on and so forth. Yep, sure, I get it. You feel like you're not disciplined enough to do it yourself, but they really should have a match. So let's just be honest. Yeah, if you're 59 and a half, or if let's say you've left a current job and you have an old 401k and you're not 59 and a half, but you could still move that. If you just move that over to a personal IRA over at Schwab or Fidelity, you will open yourself up to more investments, but then you have to make all those decisions. Maybe you are a DIYer. Maybe you are. Maybe you enjoy that stuff. But if you're not, you still run a risk of what you're investing in. Now, you come talk to us, We're really getting into what's important about your retirement, about your money, how we go about things. What you get out of us, you can't get that out of AI, all right? But if you are a DIYer, I get it, but we can still have a conversation about different things you can do. And I'd say, yeah, don't keep it in the old 401k plan. But if you are stuck there, I get it. One of the things we offer as advisors here, if you work with us on other things that you have, people bring me their 401k stuff all the time. And then I just point out the past returns of different funds that are available. And I give them options about what I think would be probably a better fit for them because they can't move it right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was wondering when somebody, I know it's very difficult to figure out fees, and I know that's part of what you do when you dive in there and kind of do that analysis of what people have. It's hard to figure that stuff out. But I'll bet that people believe that when they're in an employer 401k, that's a low fee situation. And that's not necessarily true, is it? If you were to move it to your own account, your own IRA, where you had the opportunity to choose all of those funds, do you find that there might be fewer fees there than there would be with the employer plan?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. It's funny that we bring this up because our external fee, our advisor fee is always going to be the biggest fee you see. But if you're working with us on other things, let's say, stocks, you don't have to worry about the internal expense ratio. But if you're dealing with mutual funds, the internal expense ratio can be a lot higher than you expect. Mm-hmm. I was looking at somebody's brokerage account, and they had a couple of funds they were working with. It was only just two different funds, and both of those expense ratios were over 1.3%. I mean, that can happen really quick. There's a lot of mutual funds out there that are 0.75 or 1%, and you just don't know that. And those are the expenses they're taking right off the top before they affect your returns, and you see those things. So, yes, these things can build up. And then with 401k plans, there's other fees, custodial fees, stuff like that you don't know about, but you need to read in the small print or call them and ask them about those things.
Yeah, it can be very eye-opening, and that's one of the things that Mark will do for you is take a look at what you have, and let's say what this is costing you, and you go, what do you mean what it's costing me? Well, people at Fidelity and Vanguard are wonderful people, but they don't work for free, okay? You just don't see it. And to dig in there and find out what that's costing you sometimes can be a real eye-opener. Mark will do that for you, and let's sit down and talk through it. Moretoretire.com is the website, moretoretire.com, or give Mark a call. Get a date on a calendar, no cost, no obligation meeting. Let's talk through your retirement. 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. Well, as long as we're talking about 401ks and Fidelity, let's put those two together. Fidelity has announced that next year they're going to start offering annuities inside their target date funds. So there's two controversial things right there. Target date funds and annuities. There's people that say great things and there's people that say awful things. So one of the things that you've taught me about target date funds is you pick that year. It's the target date 2035, 2040, whatever it is. And it's supposed to get less and less and less risky as you get toward that date because they're going to load it up with bonds. Are they trying to do the same thing here with annuities? Is instead of bonds, they're going to use annuities to kind of hedge some of that risk? And what kind of an annuity would this be? A lot of questions here, Mark. What do you see?
Well, if you want to talk to an annuity expert, you're talking to them right now. I know about as much as annuities as you could possibly know, and I still don't know everything. I have to read everything. I have to ask questions. We have a software that we use that goes into each and every product, whether you have a variable annuity, a fixed index annuity, a fixed annuity, a multi-year guarantee annuity, a registered index linked annuity. Yes, we can pull up all the data and answer a bunch of questions. Just off the cuff, I have no idea what they want to offer here. Mm-hmm. But if it's a variable annuity or registered index linked annuity, which is a type of variable annuity, both of those have risk. And I'm usually against those simply because they have high fees. I'd rather see people put money in mutual funds and things like that or ETFs as opposed to picking these variable annuities, all right? I don't see the purpose in it. I see the purpose of if somebody wants to do an annuity that they're on the fixed side of the business because that's the insurance side, that's under the insurance commissioners. It's different than variable, and a lot of people don't know that. So if Fidelity says, okay, we're going to do one of our classic fixed annuities. Well, I have a client, they pulled out a Fidelity annuity that they did for a 3-year period of time, and it's coming due. And you know what? They don't want to go back into an annuity. They feel good about the market. And so I discussed with them some ETF positions in that situation. But if Fidelity's going to do this, then you better buckle up and look at what the fees could be like.
And there might be some rules there as well. Do you find, Mark, that sometimes when you get into something like this, that there might be some rules of withdrawals, when you can, when you can't, how much you can take each year, some of the things like that? There's a lot of complexities, I could say, when it comes to the fine print of annuities. Would you agree?
100%. So when you talk about a multi-year guarantee annuity, it's funny, the ones that pay the highest rates of return are the ones that don't allow any withdrawals during the period of time that you have them in there, whether it's 5 or 7 years or whatever it might be.
Okay.
And then they lower the rate for the ones where you can take withdrawals, which could be, let's say, just the interest, or it could be like 10% penalty free per year. But if you start getting into that, then there are surrender charges and there's surrender charge schedules. So when you get into an annuity, you don't want to use your liquid money. You want to use a specific amount of money for a specific purpose for either income or preservation growth. That's the purpose of an annuity, is to build for eventual income or preservation growth, okay? But there's surrender charges and there's surrender charge schedules. So you have to be prepared for that, understand that, and make sure you don't break that.
This is one of the reasons I think it's so important to sit down with a financial advisor like Mark before you retire, while you're still working. Because as these things come up and you say, hey, Mark, they just put this in our 401k. What do you think? And then Mark can analyze that for you and say, okay, good move, bad move? Not so much. These are great questions. Should I rent the place? Should I own the place? Should I lease the car? Should I own the car? These are simple financial questions that you can bounce off Mark that probably have a big deal in your retirement. So let's talk through it. The Marc Oslar Retirement Experience is online at more2retire.com. Pretty easy, more2retire.com. There's a place for you to put some information in there. Mark will reach out to you, or you can skip all that and just reach out to him right now. 984-300-1984 is the number. 984-300-1984. What does that do? That is just basically a meeting. No cost, no obligation to talk about your retirement. And Mark, if people want to, as they're going to the website right now, they can see your steps to retirement and just kind of zip through them for me just a little bit. Give them an idea as they sit down with you what they can expect.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you're listening on the radio and you're hearing us, and maybe you don't catch the call-in number, okay? Just remember this website. Marc Oslar Retirement Experience is an acronym for MORE, M-O-R-E. Our website is more2, it's a T-O, not the number 2, more2retire.com. It's a very easy one to remember. If not, you can look me up. You'll find me, okay? Go to my website. There's several things. We have a tab called Process. That's our process guide. We start with that treetop view. Treetop view is us looking at a macroeconomic style. We're trying to look at the buckets of money, where you have all your money and how we want to affect that money and what we want to do about that money now, in retirement, and after you pass away, those types of things, because estate planning is a part of that too. We involve the attorneys that we need to involve. We'll involve CPAs from time to time, depending on how complex the situation is. So treetop view is the beginning. Getting to know each other, maybe even running a financial report for you for some of your positions, which is something else we like to do. That can always be sent to our secure upload button, okay? That's right on the website in the top right-hand corner. Step 2 is discovering your retirement desires and dreams. So a lot of times we combine steps 1 and 2 together. Once we understand that, then step 3 is us customizing a plan for you, because we want to know as much as we can before we customize a plan. I can customize a plan on the 2nd appointment or the 4th appointment. It's just how far we've gotten and what we want to understand, because sometimes I want to know a little more before I put something together, because I don't want to be an idiot. I want to know as much as I possibly can so I can answer your questions. Then when you become a client, then what are we going to do? We're going to potentially have to make adjustments, switches, and changes over the years, right? That's typical, because you have to understand that in this world, things change. And so we're going to do the same thing. And we're very aggressive about that. We want to make sure you know everything, because if we want to switch something, we're going to tell you why we want to switch it, and we're going to have good data behind that. And then you're going to get that 5th step is the ongoing support. You're going to get help from us, ongoing support from me, our team, me, my wife, Amy, my oldest daughter, Ariana, and then Chris Carney, who works very hard at this business, very smart guy.
Well, we would love to have the opportunity to sit down and talk to you about your retirement. You've got some things, if you're listening to this show, you've got some things kind of rattle around in your brain going, I wonder how this is going to turn out, or how do I do this, or what do I do about Social Security? I'm coming up on Medicare. What do I do with that? All right, there's lots out there. Let's get it answered for you. Here's the number, 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984, or as Mark said, more2retire.com. All right, so there's a myth out there. When I get into retirement, my expenses will go down and I will spend less in retirement. Well, maybe not. I just thought about this, because I'm still working and I've got my wife and I are on the benefits, the employer benefits, and it costs us about $650 a month for the two of us to get health care insurance, right? So I said, well, once I get to Medicare, it'll be much better. Let's look at that. It's about $205 per month per person for Medicare. So there's $410. And then if you want to get a supplement, that's about $100 a piece. Well, guess what? We're right back to $600. So that's not going to save me any money in retirement. And I was wondering, as you go through little exercises like that, Mark, are people surprised? I didn't know I was going to spend this much in retirement. I got to come back for more. We got to dip into the bucket a little deeper here. Does that happen?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had a client come in last week, and we had the conversation. He's like, hey, can we punch this income up a little bit more? I said, okay. Hey, no problem. These are buckets of money. Let's just figure out what's best for you. I said, but just, let's not, be hasty about it. Let's just take our time and look at this. And then they want to make go on a trip to Italy and do these things. And I'm not going to rob you. Let's just loosen the purse strings. Let's figure out where to come from and make sure that you get what you need in retirement, right? So yes, this literally happened last week, and it happens often.
Well, we hear this, all the time. In retirement, every day is Saturday. What do we do on Saturday? I go to Home Depot. I spend a bunch of money. I go to the grocery store. I spend a bunch of money. And every day is Saturday. So you got to kind of figure that out. But what are some other areas besides healthcare that you find people going, I didn't know I was going to spend this much money? And you talk about inflation fighters and building a little extra income in each year because the price of living goes up. And we certainly are experiencing that right now.
Hey, we went through that gas surge, right? Mm-hmm. And that was not fun. And we went through massive inflation since 2022. And I think we're all just trying to get used to it, what things cost anymore. You go to the store, you go out to eat. Just everything is expensive. So I think as a society, we're just trying to figure all of this stuff out. And here's the thing. Are you going out to eat? Are you taking your grandkids? Are you doing these things? Think about all those unexpected expenses, because one thing is you're thinking about, I've got a spreadsheet. This is my power bill. This is my gas bill. This is my, not cable anymore, but this is our internet bill where we're getting to streaming all our stuff. And this is what it looks like on our water bill. And this is probably what I spend in gas. Well, was your car fixed last year? Do you need to get another car? You need to build a budget for another car? Do you have a car payment? Did you think about that? Or mortgage? Did you pay off the mortgage? Did you think about your homeowner's insurance? Did you calculate other things that you might not have calculated, like car property taxes on other real estate you might have? All this stuff adds up. What we want to do is we want to build all this stuff, count unexpected expenses, and build that into our monthly plan so that we can make sure that you have enough income in retirement so it's part of the plan. And that's what we do. It's a big part of what we do.
That's kind of the eye-opening thing that I know that you put people through, and you give them that spreadsheet and go, okay, write down all your expenses. And you go, okay, I know I have to do this. Okay, so we got to know how much money we need. But there's things that you pay once a year that you don't think about, like insurance premiums, your car insurance premiums, your life insurance premium. And maybe you pay other things that are once a year and you go, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Your property tax bill is built into your mortgage, and you don't think about that. And then once you pay off your house, then you got to pay that on the side. And there's stuff that we're going to have to do in retirement, Mark, that it's not registering with me right now on that day-to-day stuff that I do.
100%. Randy, this is the thing. If we have these unexpected expenses or things that I didn't really calculate for, these are the things that I'm going to bring up at the meeting because we want to prepare for this. I had a guy the other day, we're just talking about an income plan, and we're discussing, well, what if the Social Security was just the gravy? What if we build the income around it and then your Social Security is just the gravy? Well, I think a lot of people like that because then they're like, oh, I've got some more money I can spend. And maybe it doesn't affect the bottom line. The reason why I like to do that is because with Social Security, if they don't fix the trust fund, it's exhausted by 2032. you're not going to lose Social Security because we're still paying Social Security taxes. What they figured is if that happens, this is our preliminary plan. We're going to reduce Social Security by 28% over a 4-year period of time, 7% per year, from 2032 on. Well, we don't want that to happen. So what we do is we prepare for the what ifs in life. What are the expenses? What do your taxes and inflation look like? So preservation, income, and growth. We're going to stick by this. The income tactics have to be more towards preservation, and then we need to prepare for taxes and inflation. If we do all that, then we can make sure that you have the risk you want for the growth portion.
You're listening to the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience, and to sit down and talk to Marc about your retirement, it's a no-cost, no-obligation look. It's basically saying, hey, what have you done to save for retirement? Let's take a look at that. What are your monthly bills, like what we were just talking about? Let's put that together and see what comes out there. If there's gaps in there, let's figure out how to fill the gaps. If there's a tax problem in the future, let's try to head that off. And there's lots of different things to talk through. It's not just your investments and the stock market. There's so much more to retirement planning than that. Let's talk through all of the aspects of it. Here's the website and here's the phone number, moretoretire.com. moretoretire.com. Just spell it right out. You'll go to the website. You'll see a spot there where you can put some information in, and Marc will reach out to you, or you can reach out to him right now. It's 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. When we talk about expenses in retirement, this is one that I am hearing over and over and over again, not only from people, but also from financial advisors. It's your teeth. Okay, you don't think about that, but holy cow, some of the bills on implants and things like that are insane. And here you are in retirement, and you didn't think that was going to happen. I thought we'd get a little look at that with Gary Goldman, who's a fun comedian talking about dentists.
A heart surgeon will open up your chest, replace a valve, save and extend your life, $45 copay. A dentist mostly fills miniature potholes, cash only today.
It's so true. I've gone to a dentist now that doesn't take insurance because I long story, but the guy does a great job and everything, but that is something that we're facing in retirement. When you talk to somebody who's like 62 and they're going to retire at 65, do you look at them and say, buy the car, fix your teeth, fix the house, do the roof, do all that stuff before you get into retirement? Do you say that?
I don't really say that, but I truthfully, what we do is we want to have a conversation about what you want to do now, what you want to do later, okay? And we can work around these parameters, but yeah, I memean, shoot, let's add eye doctor onto the list too, because with my health insurance currently, I don't have a vision plan. Well, if I go to the eye doctor and I have contacts, I probably need to just go get LASIK, right? Because I go in there, you get the appointment, you have to do it once a year, otherwise you can't get contacts. They basically made it a rule. And you go in there, you have the appointment, they still charge you for a contact lens fitting fee. They're not fitting anything, but you're paying it. Next thing you know, you order contacts, you had the appointment, $500.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I know it.
So the point is, dentists, it all adds up, okay? And yeah, you need a new roof. You need new siding. We want to replace the floors, the carpets. I don't like these countertops anymore. Well, we need to work this into the budget. I mean, this is for real, right?
Well, at the same time, though, there's things that can happen, maybe in your 70s or your 80s when you talk about home improvements and things like that, that all of a sudden, the knee goes and now you're rehabbing and you got to have a knee replacement. I mean, how many friends I've had that have had knee and hip replacements, and they're not like in their 80s, they're in their 50s, they're in their 60s. And then you got to build a ramp and you got to do all different things in the house, and outfitting your house for your later years, that can be expensive as well, can't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, every bit of this adds up, okay? What do you need to do to your house? How do you want to go about it? Yeah, I just had a conversation with a client the other day. He just had, 3 months ago, he had a knee replacement,
okay.
Right? Well, I mean, it's going to take time for recuperation. I mean, he's building, hey, I want to turn on Social Security at this age or so on and so forth. I want to retire. Okay, perfect. this is what we're going to do. And this is what we did. We talked about, how much we're going to pull from this annuity, how much we're going to pull from brokerage, what do we want at risk, how much money are you going to draw from Social Security so you can officially stop having to work this particular job, right? These are the conversations we have. And then what are the other expenses? What do they look like? Do we need to build a source of income to build up for the side money? So eventually we need to use it for this or that or the other, buying a car. Dental implants, like you mentioned before, I mean, they really add up. It's expensive. And so this has to happen. When we talk about these things, we want to discuss what are your needs. It's really important to have needs and wants together.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about doing stuff in retirement. Everybody wants to travel. Travel to you might be a 90-day around the world trip, but it might be just a trip down to Florida for a couple of weeks. It's very, very different for everybody. Maybe it's just a cruise. Maybe it's a big RV or something like that. Everybody has a different idea of what retirement is and what travel is and what having fun is in retirement. And we have to figure it out exactly what you want to do. And you may change along the way. And that's perfectly okay because, as Mark says, we're going to have that ongoing support as a part of our steps for retirement that'll help you along the way. Give Mark a call and let's sit down and talk through it. It's a no-cost, no-obligation meeting for your retirement. That means it's a conversation to talk about what you've done, what you do right now, what you want to do in the future. Let's talk through it. Here's the website, moretoretire.com. That's moretoretire.com, or give Mark a call at 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984, and let's start talking through your retirement today. That is all the time we have on the show for this week. We hope you have a great weekend. We'll see you next time on the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Marc Oslar Retirement Experience is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Marc Oslar Retirement Experience are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risks, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing carrier. This radio podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be considered as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Marc Oslar Retirement Experience is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute legal or tax advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein are provided by third parties that have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Market Guard is a firm that provides investment signals as well as portfolio allocation recommendations for a wide variety of model portfolios. Market Guard does not offer advice or enter into fiduciary relationships. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.